friend named Pat. He's from Rochester, New York. And they're going back. Let's see, Aaron, go stand right over there. So you're so close I can't get you. Go stand right over there and I'll film you. See? Yeah. Can you? Let's see, I bet. Let's see. See? And we met this nice little girl, and her name is Erin. Erin Michelle.
And she's from Duck.
And over here we have Mamaw again.
Again.
Are you having fun?
I am, and I ate too much lunch. This morning my stomach didn't look too big, and now it looks real big. And don't get my ugly leg. It's like an animal.
This needs repowering. I'm running out of power. My light's blinking off and on.
Okay. Well, what do we do about that?
Here's Kelly. What a babe. There's Brent.
Oh, it came back on?
Well, it worries me because it's not blinking now. Yeah, it's blinking. The date is August the something. You know what date it is, Mom?
Let's see. The 10th? Or what?
Little manual adjustment here. This is Nags Head, North Carolina. And of course the Tilt-A-Whirl. A great time.
I am. I'm sitting here at the carnival waiting on Becky to get off the Ferris wheel. I guess she's riding everything with the children. But we're having a good time.
That's good. Nags Head, North Carolina. Why not?
They rode 4 rides. They rode the Tilt-A-Whirl, the Octopus, and I have decided, remember the time you and I rode the Octopus and we were in that car and it was facing down?
Yeah.
We were in a broken car because when people are in those cars, it's always they're on their back. We were in a broken car and we swore we'd never ride that again because of it. And they rode the Scrambler. And they rode the Himalayan. And she got some yogurt and he got a snow cone. And the sunset was beautiful.
The opposite. Oh.
Can you think? I mean, it was
dizzy.
purple.
Yeah. I got off and I fell down. And I could hardly even get up.
This is the Christmas mouse, which is a Christmas star. Becky and Mama Connie's been in here for about an hour and a half so far, and still not out. We've been waiting on them so long the kids have fallen asleep in the van. Here's Kelly. She's been asleep for about an hour, I guess. Brent's in the back asleep. Maybe they'll come out sometime. Becky playing in the sand. More fun at the beach, day 2. Kelly's avoiding getting wet. Not much of a shower. You gonna wash your feet off there, Blood?
Let's go shower over there. I think I'm gonna have to take one of both with me. I'm gonna start at number. I am like
So?
This is called Daisy Daisy. Daisy Daisy, give me your answer. I am crazy over the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage, 'cause I can't afford a carriage. But you could see a conversation. Hey, Pam, what are you doing?
I guess I'm gonna have to.
Today we are here at the North Carolina Aquarium.
Okay.
Today we are here at the North Carolina Today we are here at the North Carolina Aquarium in Roanoke Island. The three main events are the Shark Gallery, the Turtle Gallery, and the Alligator Gallery. We will be taking looks at them. Yeah, Dad. Maybe we... There, I finally got it. You can hear it's one of the kind of shells that you can put it up to your ear, and it sounds like you can hear the ocean. This As you know, for the fish, the water feels great, but for the people, the water is frozen. There's a stingray. I think that's and it's coming for you.
Kelly.
Well, the guy over there was doing. These are striped bass, and some are striped bass. This is different kinds of fish. Well, when you look at it, some look like they're dead, like that one sort of doesn't move a lot. And you think they're dead, but they're not. They're cobra, they're norther puffer, they're black sea bass, big head sirgon, and they're yellowhead walrus. And there's a fish over there, and it's being weird. It's trying to get out, saying, "Let me out of here! Let me out of here!" And those sort of look like catfish right there. So maybe this thing right there tells isn't right. And I guess they live inside those inside the rocks, where they can hide and stuff. These are called red drops. As you see, they're very, very big. But if you were in there, they'd nip you to pieces. Well, Mama sure did have pretty big people.
Wait. Don't get the video.
Come on. These are spiny lobsters. They smell bad, but they look dangerous. But if you were in there, they'd snack you to pieces. Chomp, 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 chomp. Oh, Dad, take this one over here. As you see right here, this is the Randy White Shark Gallery. These are the bones of different kinds of sharks. This right here is from the London shark, and then, now, this is something pretty annoying. And so this bull shark, sort of like a bull shark. Look at this. It's like a Chinese twin. Look at those. It's like Chinese twins. Sort of look like mine. And this is the same bar shark.
Y también tiene ojos toteados.
Chiquito. Es como tus.
Baby toteados. Allá hay otro.
¿Quieres casar con él? ¿Quieres casar? ¿Quieres casar con él?
No way.
Look this.
Oh, no, but they can casar con
Ve, pero no, pero ve que parece un velvet, ve como dice de los muebles, ve, acércate.
Me mató la piel de
Esos ojitos tan chiquiticos.
I tried this one.
Mira este. Cow nose. Red.
I'm going to try to let a shark bite right here.
¿Sabías que no tenía esqueleto el tiburón?
No tiene.
Just don't let it bite.
He decided to enter the lake, a procedure not without certain risk.
It is hot cold when you're in the lake, so they can be a little bit back to the
I say why. And then you come over here, and they call this the leather head. It does feel like leather, but sounds like metal. Come on. Oh, here's the gallery. those logs used to be a dog bag?
Probably.
She's ready when you are.
Just do the slides.
Has to talk loud.
We're here. Today, we're going to have to walk 200 stairs. We're going to have to try not to stop. Let's see if we can do it or not. Oh, I'm already getting tired.
Yeah, but see, you can't see the house. Oh, they have to be way down there in that group down now.
I think I see it. I can see it.
There's nothing.
Look, I can see the kites over here.
Why?
He freezes whenever he gets cold whenever he does something. Look down.
Joshua, put your hand up.
If I drive, this system would go down pretty far.
Yeah, and then you'd be going right over to catch it.
I know. If you look down, it's not free.
It takes very long to climb those stairs. Huh? It takes very long to climb those.
Hi, Dad. You can see Mama down there. I took a picture down there, over there. Whoa, that's far down.
Did Brent go on down?
I'm going to walk.
No.
Then I'll take a picture of me. So I'm going to take a picture of her.
Going down. Be real
Careful. Hold on to the rail.
I'll just walk down. Kelly, I'm gonna stand over here.
Hey, Ross.
The Currituck Beach Lighthouse was first lighted on December 1st, 1875. At 158 feet, its beacon filled the last remaining dark spot on the North Carolina coast between Cape Henry Light to the north and giving to the North Body Island to the south. To distinguish it from other original lighthouses, it was left unpainted, thus giving today's visitors a sense of the multitude of bricks which form the sculpture. The Currituck Beach Lighthouse was automated by the U.S. Coast Guard, which assumed the duties of the Bureau of Lighthouses in 1938. At night, it still flashes its warning signal every 20 seconds to ships hugging the coastal chain of barrier. The end. That's a boy's bell. This is a boy's bell. Look at us. The lighthouse keeper's house, a Victorian stick-style dwelling, was constructed from pre-cut, labeled materials shipped by the U.S. Lighthouse Board on a barge and then assembled on site. Since 1876, when the keeper's house was completed, two keepers and their families had shared the duplex in this exalted seaside setting. When the lighthouse was automated, keepers were no longer needed to continually clean the license. Trim the wicks, fuel the lamp, and when the clockwork mechanism which rotated the beacon. The keeper's house was abandoned.
Automated.
Automated. No. Two lighthouse keepers lived in that house, and it was brought here from another place, and it was barged here. And when the two light keepers learned how to make the lighthouse automatic, then they had to abandon the house.
First.
The house you see behind us was in pieces when they brought it here. Then it was on a barge. It was barged here so the two lighthouse keepers could live in it. And then the Coast Guard made the lighthouse automatic so they didn't have to live here anymore. Then they just abandoned the place. And now the lighthouse is here for everyone to see. Right now we are here at the Wright Brothers Memorial. And we are going to take a look at the museum. This is a model of the plane that the Wright Brothers flew. What you see behind me is the Wright Brothers Memorial.
People?
People from all over around the world have come to see it. Visitors like to enjoy visiting the memorial and the museum.
Remember, you guys speak real loudly too.
Is this where they work?
Yeah.
This behind me is brothers worked and slept. They lived in that house right there from 1900 to 1903. One reason that the Wright brothers came to Kitty Hawk to try to fly an airplane was because there was lots of steady wind. As you see behind me, you can see the flag flowing, and you can also feel the wind and see the wind. You can hear the wind real good. This one is Orville, and this one is Wilbur. Nice name, Wilbur. As you see right here, I bet they didn't have big noses in real life, but honk, 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 honk. We're here at Jockey Ridge State Park. There is the sand dune.
This is Dad at the beach. See, he's enjoying this nice umbrella. This is Gary at the beach. He's been enjoying his time in the room by himself. And he finally came out. It's Mom. Brent's out here. Beautiful day, very calm. It's on Wednesday, the third day here. This is Brent and his friend Patrick. Patrick's from Rochester, New York. They've been having pretty much fun here. See them dive into the water. There they are, they're waving. They're waving from the waves. He's going to show off. This is August the 14th, 1991.
This is Bodie Island Light. This is the Bodie Island Lighthouse, and the house right there is the caretaker's house. Today we're here at Bodie Island Lighthouse. Right there is the caretaker's house.
You want to go down to the next?
How you tell the different lighthouses is the way they're painted. This one's painted with stripes. One is painted diagonally. One is painted, well, one's not painted.
Have anything to say over here?
We're on Cape Hatteras Island.
Dad, isn't that the tape I'm using to get my A on?
Yes, it is. Say something to your class.
Hi.
And what do you think of your new teacher?
I don't know her yet.
But you're sure she'll be very nice, right? Give good grades?
I hope she's better than my teacher last year. Her name was Mrs. Sidisha last year. God.
Anybody want half a banana?
If Beth is in my class, I want to say hi. Dad, point the video over here. Dad! We went to... Where did we? Park. Yeah, Waterfall Park. I played water golf, and I won. Then we played, then we went on the slide. I turned backwards.
Did you? Did you turn backwards?
I think I'm gonna throw up.
Oh, we can tape this. Ready?
This is Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, and it's about to fall down into the ocean because, well, it's very old, and it's 250 feet tall. way behind me is Ocracoke Lighthouse. Way back. It's white with black windows and Elizabeth to where on the boat that the colonists rode from England. You too. We're at the Elizabeth II Visitor Center, and we're going to go visit the ship the colonists rode in there. We're here at the Elizabeth.
Do it again. Start
We're going to visit the Elizabeth II Center.
They do stay to the top deck. All the mariners stay there.
Where are these holes for?
But little children now. Ill-mannered children or just ill children? Ring bells.
Well, we're heading home now. We may stop by by the Lost Colony, just to see where we are.
Sit with me for one.
Plan, and of course that was an integral part in the development of the zoning ordinance. And Person County has a land development plan, which is a rather older development plan, which will probably need to be updated within the next 3 to 5 years. Probably redone entirely.
How about current planning?
Current planning, Person County's planning staff is myself and a secretary, and therefore I am involved with all of the subdivision approvals that go through the county. All zoning permits are issued by me or her, mostly by me, predominantly by me, I should say. And also manufactured home park regulations, junkyard regulations, and any other things the commissioners decide to throw at you as far as current development. And so I'm every day dealing with citizens, issuing a permit for a house to helping a developer plan a subdivision. I gave final approval to a mobile home park today. It was final construction, met the building construction plans, gave final approval today. On-site inspection.
How about Harnett County?
Harnett County was very similar. It was issuance of permits.
Were you involved with them?
Oh yes, sir. I dealt with citizens and developers on a day-to-day basis. Basically, there were two of us who dealt primarily with the developers, myself being one of them. And then we all issued zoning permits.
What kind of a staff did Harnett County have?
Harnett County has a staff of 5. And so I went from a staff of 5 to a staff of 2. And that was, therefore, I had, in the recent months with Person County, I've had to take on a great deal more responsibility with a smaller staff. And whereas in Harnett County, my prime responsibility was the Board of Adjustment. And I did all the presentations for them and all of the legwork and the gathering information.
Right.
I do it for all the boards in Person County.
Did you have an opportunity to look around Knightdale?
I did. I arrived about 3:30 and drove around and looked at several of the subdivisions.
Yeah.
Did just some. Of course, you've got most of the development at this time, from what I can tell, is of course out on 64. I have relatives who live in Wendell, my grandparents, so I've been by here on numerous occasions in the past 24 years and have watched it grow in this area.
Yeah.
I have an uncle who lives in Knightdale.
Oh, really? What's his name?
Jerry Wilder. He has it may not actually be within Knightdale city limits, but he lives on the other side of 64. There used to be a road, and I don't mean to curse or anything, but Jackass Road, I believe.
Yeah, I've heard of that. It seems like I've seen it on a map or something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he lives down that road.
Yeah.
So he has some horse stables down there.
You're probably familiar that there's really not a downtown area like a lot of other places like Fuquay or Wendell. You know, it really never developed very well.
Yeah, I got that. I got that impression driving through.
Yeah, most of the development is on 64, but Knightdale is a very fast-growing little town, and we're the third fastest growing in Wake County behind Morrisville and Cary. The population increased like 127% in the last 10 years, and actually most of that was probably in the last 3 or 4 years as Planters Walk and all that developed.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't you just annex Planters Walk? I think I read
I'm
that.
not really sure exactly when it was.
I think I read that.
They've been annexing sections of it, you know, as it develops. They annex parts of it, but they really didn't do the whole thing at one time. And they just did a section of it a few weeks ago, I think. But
I can remember when that was vast, nothing, farmland and.
Well, there's still a lot of vast nothingness out there, and that's the potential for the town there.
Exactly.
If the town were to continue to grow real fast with what you've seen here and what you know, what do you think the town would end up looking like in about 10 years?
Well, the important thing to do is to make sure it's not developed too quickly, I would think, because if you develop too quick, if things are allowed to develop too quickly, they could get out of control. I think there's got to be a slow, steadily, orderly growth. Otherwise, you're going to have strip development that you see in some smaller towns where, for some reason, there's no market. For instance, Roxborough, where I'm at now, it's just strip development all up and down the boulevard. No one had any development codes as far as signs, as far as setbacks from roads or anything, and therefore, if Knightdale wants to project maintain a community atmosphere, a town, but also grow, and it's going to have to do that in a steady, organized way.
Where do you think the growth will be, and what will it look like?
it would seem to me that based on what you've seen so far, your growth is going to be commercial in 64, and then as the commercial locates there, and of course as the jobs still moving into Raleigh in this area, you're going to have both residential and commercial. Industrial is going to be probably hard pressed to find land right in the Knightdale area. Maybe within what is Wake County's jurisdiction, maybe some industrial in that area. I guess it would depend on the zoning in this particular area for Wake County and in Knightdale. I would see industrial moving out a little farther out to the Wake County area because of land values.
You were talking about balanced growth or something. The town would like to continue to grow real fast, but they also want to have good control over that growth, and those are somewhat incompatible. Not mutually exclusive, but somewhat incompatible anyway. How do you balance the two? You want to grow real fast, but you don't want it to get out of hand. You want to control what's going on.
I think you need to put the requirements within your ordinances that in hope that you would hope would streamline the development, streamline the process for developers and for investors or whoever. But you've also got to have meat within the ordinance that says you have to do this, this, and this, or you will not get this. You've got to have the teeth in the ordinance to back up the organization with the streamlining to make it a faster type development. The trick is, I guess, making those things work together and making them stick. You've got to, in the experience I've had in writing ordinances, both for Person County and for Harnett County, you've got to make sure your words are particular and that they say what you want them to mean, and that you are also able to espouse them to people coming in. If you don't do this, if you don't do this, we're sorry. We want you to do it, but you've got to do this to get that approval.
Have you ever been involved with like downtown revitalization or anything like that?
Have done a little bit of work in the of course, when I work with the economy part in Harnett County. Harnett County is basically a rural county, and most of the economic development deals with the 5 towns. But as far as revitalization in a rural area, it's you never have had anything really build up and then run down and have to revitalize it because it's been small to start with. For instance,
what would you do downtown here? Just off the top of your head, I don't need it.
First of all, I would talk with other people who have been in revitalization projects in small towns. There are certainly other projects that have happened around the state and around the country for towns that may be somewhat similar. And that would be my first step, because the more information you have, the better decision you make, and the better course you can chart. What I would do to start with, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't know, but it would be smart to get that information from the other people.
You ever been involved in any grant writing?
Did do some of that in Harnett County. Very little of it, because most of it was done by the planning director. Or the county manager. I guess they felt that my main job there was to deal with current development and with working on the comprehensive plan, and that the grant writing needed to be done by someone a little higher up the totem.
How about presentations to city council or legislative body, let me put it that way?
I have done them every month for the last 3 years. Board of Adjustment, planning boards, city councils, church groups, Brewerton clubs, you name it, have done the presentations. Anything from parts of a comprehensive plan to a conditional use permit application to watershed protection, any number of different topics. And I found that it's good to be concise, and it's good to hit the highlights, but don't get bogged down in the details. Now, if someone is really interested in the details, for instance, a church member really wants to know how this is going to affect their property, then you set up an alternate time to meet with them. But if you concentrate too much on small details in a meeting, people tend to get bored and don't get the main focus of what you're trying to relate to them.
Yeah. How about, tell me about your computer usage here, what you were doing.
Okay. Harnett County keeps all of its zoning permits, major subdivisions, minor subdivisions, zoning permits, the whole everything, manufactured home parks, all on DBase. And so that involved the logging in and updating of those records. I oversaw the person who actually did that particular work, but of course I had to go behind to make sure everything was done correctly. So
Who wrote the program? Did y'all buy it? Or?
bought it, DBase 3.
Well, I mean, did you buy a DBase or did you buy a DBase program?
I bought DBase.
Okay.
Anyway.
Who did the programming?
That was Carlos Stevens, who was the planning director.
Oh, really? Okay.
Anyway, basically what happened, also dealt with WordPerfect, WordStar, have also worked with Amiga computers, Scribble word processing, and right now I'm using an Epson computer. I've also used IBM XT. Used a Macintosh in school, but it was so long ago I would be lost probably.
Yeah. You know what GIS is?
Certainly do. Have attended a Triangle J Council of Governments conference on it about January 10th or 11th, something like that.
Yeah. Probably in 3 or 4 years, all the cities in Wake County will probably have a terminal to the Wake County GIS system and some kind of a large plotter and be able to print off information, maps and data off the Wake County GIS system. That should be real interesting when that happens.
If I remember correctly, Kerry was the one who actually got that started and kind of pushed Wake County into doing it, or something to that effect. And I don't remember the whole story, and it wound up that Wake County moved up and did Kerry first or something to that effect. And I knew that it was going to be coming to the other towns in the future.
Yeah, it was real interesting. I had a call one day from a firm in Research Triangle Park that was selling the GIS system that run on an AT. I wanted to know if they could come out and give a demonstration, and I'm not sure why they called me, but as a finance director, and I told them to come on, and they gave me a demonstration, and it was so interesting. I asked them to come back next week, and I had the city manager and the planning director and some of the other department directors, and they gave a demonstration. The city manager just loved it. He wanted to go ahead and buy it. It was like $60,000 for the system, including the computer equipment and stuff, and we had to talk him out of it. But it was right before budget, so we put $150,000 in the budget to do GIS, and we started exploring it more. And of course, the hard part is data entry, getting the points in. And it occurred to us that we needed to be compatible with the county, so we called the county, and they said that they were going to, but they weren't ready yet. So we waited for about a year, and we almost went ahead without them. And they finally agreed to go on and make us the first point, essentially. So they did the aerial photography and all that stuff was done first in Cary and all that. So Cary's been using it for about a year, and some of the output's just fantastic. And of course, Wake County's got a staff of 10, 15 people, and Cary's got a staff of about 5 in GIS. And it's coming along very well. Also extremely expensive.
It certainly is.
Yeah. And
I've got several.
Forget about 150,000. Well, that went the wayside. Yeah, they got a $250,000 computer system in Cary now, and they've got a staff of 5, so they're spending millions on the GIS.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll work out in the long run. But yeah, we ended up waiting for about 2 years for Lake County, and they're still not completely through.
I was very glad I went to that conference. I would not have known about it except for the fact that I am in the process of getting married, and my fiance's father happens to be the finance director, chief financial officer for Triangle J Council of Governments.
Oh, really? Who is that?
Vance Lockman.
Yep.
so I'll be marrying his daughter in July.
Well, that's weird.
Well, it goes around, kind of.
Yeah, that's all right. Where is Roxborough exactly?
Okay, if you travel north out of Durham on 501,
Yeah,
next town you hit is Roxborough.
that's past, what's that?
You go through Rougemont, and then you would come to Roxborough.
There's some kind of a conference center.
Quail Rouge Conference Center.
Quail Rouge, yeah.
Exactly.
Out there.
It's about 12 miles north of there.
Are you living up there, or are you living in Cary? You got a Cary address.
Exactly, because of the fact that I had taken the position and I'm getting married.
That's a long
I determined that it was best for me to live in Cary at this particular time and then move all at once with my fiance to Roxborough. She teaches in Durham County. She teaches school in Durham County.
You got two addresses.
Exactly.
One
That way, one was my parents and one was my fiance.
Which one's your parents?
The
Dark Oak?
Dark Oak, correct.
I'm not sure. I've heard of Dark Oak. I'm not sure which street that is. Okay. Well, of course, this is my 5th day, and I wanted this job because I wanted to stay in Wake County, and my wife works for the state and has a good job, and we want to give that up. And
hope she can keep it with his budget.
Yeah, no. Wake County schools are better than a lot of other places, and we wanted our kids to go to Wake County schools. And I wanted to be a manager, and this was open. But mostly, there's more potential in Knightdale than a lot of other places in Wake County, even, or in the surrounding areas. Knightdale's the 3rd fastest growing city in Wake County, and it's probably going to continue to do that. And I think in 10 years, it's going to be a surprising little town. And I wanted to be on the front end of that and be able to look back and say I helped do that. And there's a lot of things that I want the planning director to be involved in. Right now it's a real shirt sleeves type operation. In the past it's been a one-man show essentially. And we have in the budget, well, first we've got a zoning clerk now that is taking applications and stuff and doing that kind of work. And we have in the budget a construction inspector, which we'll probably change the title of and make that a code enforcement officer or something like that, and expand the duties a little bit.
Okay, and it's construction inspector as opposed to a building inspector, who would be from the Wake County Building Inspections Office?
Yeah, the Wake County Building Inspections is, we'll continue to do that, and we'll, I think what they had in mind was just doing construction inspections, period, but that's not really a full-time job in Knightdale, so we'll probably call it something else, let them do zoning enforcement and sign code enforcement and that type of thing, and call it a code enforcement officer, but not do building inspections.
Exactly.
I don't really want to get into that now. That's the type of position that you end up filling every year. They're hard to keep, and the market for them is tight, and you end up paying a whole lot of money for a building inspector.
It seems to me that if you can keep going with the Wake County Building Inspectors is to the advantage.
Yeah, it is at least for cost.
I don't know the cost involved, but
yeah, I think it is for right now anyway. Into the foreseeable future. Well, I think we're going to pull those 3 positions together. The code enforcement officer, the zoning clerk, and the planning director, and end up with like a 3-person department essentially. That still pretty much makes it a shirt sleeves operation. You still got to do it all essentially. And again, the comprehensive plan, including a thoroughfare plan and a land use plan, needs to be done. And of course, that's a significant job. That's very, very time consuming. We need to revitalize the downtown area, not just that one strip, but the whole area, and curb, gutter, sidewalks, lights, the whole 9 yards, and do whatever we can, maybe community development block grant application, that type of thing, maybe some housing rehab, whatever's available. We need to make sure that 64 develops correctly, and that we can develop an identity for Knightdale out on 64, other than just a wide place in the road on the way to Raleigh. You know, that's what we want to avoid. We want to, when people come through and say, "Oh yeah, this is Knightdale. It's a nice place," and we want them to
It's a place to
feel
stop
that.
at McDonald's. Is what I would have to.
Yeah.
Some people would say. And
Yeah,
we
that's
want,
where-
we want to. I guess the desire is to create a community
Yep.
that has an identity of itself, other than a place to stop, eat at McDonald's on the way to the beach or something.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people can identify Knightdale with the downtown area. You know, if you think of Pittsburgh, you think of the courthouse and the circular drive around and all that, and you don't really, when you think of Knightdale, you're probably thinking about McDonald's and Hardee's in that area right there. You're not thinking about the old downtown area. So we need to create an identity for the city, I think. And I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's fixing up old downtown, or it may be developing something out on 64. Not sure how that'll fall out. The outer loop around Raleigh is supposed to hit 64 here in Knightdale, and that's going to be a significant impact on the area, and that will be one of the major intersections in the county, and should be very interesting when that happens.
Prime thing to watch is development in that area that doesn't get too clustered in traffic confusion. But they have that on Wake Forest Road. Wake Forest is a major collector road, and of course the Beltline.
Yeah.
That sounds like a possibility for a problem there at some point.
Yeah, we need to make sure that that works right. We're buying all our water and sewer from Raleigh, or most of it, and we need to think that through, make sure that that's the best thing, or find some alternative.
The Three Bears, this was too big, that was too small. And finally something fit just right, like the new J30 from Infiniti. Now that's my definition of luxury. It's a car you just slip right into and live happily ever after. Infiniti makes you want to take up driving again, doesn't it?
A decade ago, WRAL TV5 News led the way with a statewide news network that now puts breaking news from across the Carolinas at your fingertips 24 hours a day. Put news leadership to work for you tonight.
Inside Edition's Steve Wilson exposes so-called money experts who are really stretching the truth when they say they can make you a bundle.
Well, that's a promotional claim.
Don't miss the next Inside Edition.
Inside Edition, tomorrow at 5. Pillow Talk. Compliments of Belk.
Where every pillow and pad in stock is on sale now.
It's the stuff dreams are made of.
This is WRAL TV5 Raleigh-Durham Fayetteville. From North Carolina's news leader, this is the 11 o'clock news with Charlie Gaddy, Donna Gregory, meteorologist Greg Fischel, and Tom Suter with sports. This is WRAL TV5 News.
Some people believe this gas station could end up making them sick. Good evening, I'm Bob Brennan. Charlie Gaddy is on vacation. Buried gasoline storage tanks are once again being blamed for unleashing health hazards.
Old fuel tanks are now contaminating the water supplies in many communities. Environmental officials estimate more than 2,300 tanks are leaking in North Carolina.
A good example of what a leaking gasoline storage tank can do to a community is as close as Knightdale. Many people in the Green Pine subdivision have been drinking bottled water for 5 months now.
Those people suspect gasoline leaking from a nearby gas station has seeped into their well water. Mark Roberts is at the gas station tonight. He joins us with a live report. Mark, tell us the situation right now.
Well, Don and Bob, this is the Interstate gas station. The Green Pines subdivision with the contaminated wells and the folks on bottled water is just behind the gas station. Now, the gasoline company is paying for the bottled water, but no one has been conclusively blamed for the trouble out here yet. But while the state and Interstate continue to conduct tests out here, many of the residents will tell you that safe drinking water from the tap is something many of us take for granted. James McNeil was among the first to go on bottled water. He hasn't used his tap water for drinking purposes since November. A test well dug in his yard showed the highest level of benzene contamination in the neighborhood. McNeil lives just over the fence from the interstate gas station. He says the best solution is to hook into the municipal water system and have the gasoline company pay for it.
Yes, that would solve the contamination problem.
Are you worried about who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, that's what we're worried about. I know we'll have to pay the monthly bill, but I feel like that they should pay for it.
Benzene or not, many people are facing a water dilemma in the Knightdale area. People from Green Pines and several other subdivisions attended a public hearing on Knightdale's annexation plans. Annexation would force many residents to hook into the town water system regardless of well contamination. The town manager made a case for people coming online.
That benzene that's in that water table is moving southeast. And everybody essentially on the west side of Hodge Road will be affected.
State officials agree that municipal water is a good solution to well contamination, but disagree about the spread of the trouble.
We are not really seeing any fast movement of the plume. For all intents and purposes, it's not moving at all right now. And we're staying on top of it. We're continuing to monitor it.
Now, what you're seeing right now is some barrels of some ground that's been taken out of the ground, if you will, some dirt in the barrels that's been taken from the back of the gasoline station here, and state officials and a consultant for the gasoline company have been testing that soil. Now, while the residents were meeting about this problem tonight, next Tuesday is a very important day. That's when the consultant that's been unearthing those barrels has a report due to state officials. Now, if that report doesn't come in by next Tuesday, the state can assess a $10,000 a day fine against the company until it turns the report in. So Bob and Donna, maybe by next week, some of the residents out here will begin to get some answers to their questions.
Beyond the answers, when is there going to be some sort of resolve to this problem, Mark?
Well, that's hard to say, Bob. They'll get the report first, and then the big problem you saw in the meeting, everything there, the real solution here, once the well's contaminated, you're pretty much stuck with the contamination. So the question of who hooks into what, where, and who pays for it, going to be a long ways down the line.
Mark, we thank you. In other news tonight, a quick evaluation.
People.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was by default that Kerry convinced people. I don't know.
Well, they like to, success attracts success, and we need to convince them that they can be successful over here, and then it sort of mushrooms. And that's pretty much what happened in Cary. There's a lot of different things. The planning director, I think, needs to be the interface between the city and the engineering firm, or consulting engineering firm. Most of the things that they do is community development oriented, putting in water lines and sewer lines and that type of thing, and it pretty much relates back to planning and community development. And I intend to call that department community development, not planning. I want to give it a real broad definition and do a lot of different things.
Who is your engineering firm?
Tate Lanning. What else? There's a lot of activity in the area, and there's a lot of current planning activity, site plan reviews, and all that different things. And the council adopted the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations last night, and but as soon as you get it done, you need to start over again, pretty much. You know, there's always revisions to be made.
Exactly.
Most of the legwork's been done, though. It's a good document, but there's always something to mess around with it, I guess. And, we need to get that on word processing so we can make our own changes and that type of thing, and not depend on outside consultants.
I know that in Harnett County we adopted an ordinance. We did it in 2 steps: north of the side of the county and the south side of the county. It's cut by the Cape Fear River in half. As soon as they passed the north, they had to start doing amendments, and then they passed the south, same exact ordinance, and they found a whole new set of problems, and they had to adopt some more amendments. And it's like it's a continual evolution of an ordinance.
It never ends, that's for sure.
You can always find somebody can always come in and point out a situation, and you say, well, we don't have an answer for this.
That's right.
And to create something.
Yeah. Well, that's about all. What questions would you like me to answer for you?
Okay. You said the ordinances were adopted last night.
Mm-hmm.
Were those ordinances drawn up by the engineering firm, or are they?
No, we've got standard specs, zoning ordinance, subdivision regulations. This is Greg Shepard Design Associates in Carmel. He was the planner here for like 3 years. It was a one-person operation, and then went up there to work for himself. And they hired another planner. That planner, and they hired him to do these, to update these. The regular planner quit, and then he's been working 2 days a week here.
I think the gentleman who was here before left to go back to school or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what it was, but something similar to that anyway. So, now the standard specs now was done by the engineers, of course.
I don't suppose it would be any way possible I could get a copy of these.
I don't know. That's the only one that I know of.
Okay. Well, I
probably could. You could probably ask the zoning clerk in there, and I'm sure she could probably dig you out some somewhere.
Okay. Well, a copy of each one was what I was saying, because there's nothing like having an ordinance in your hand and being able to read it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did with Harnett County. They gave me the ordinances, and I went ahead and read them all, and had learned a good bit before I ever started to work there.
Yeah.
Of course, there's nothing like learning on the job either.
Yeah, no.
You said that at the current time there is a zoning clerk, and there is plans for a construction inspector or code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
That is planned for the budget year, and you expect
It's
that?
already, it was approved for this year. They just never hired a person.
Oh, okay. So just whenever, I suppose that whenever a planning director or community development director, however you want to classify it, is hired, then you're going to direct them to go ahead and fill that position.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had an application for a planning director from a guy from Georgia that was a planning director in a city of about 8,000 in Georgia, who was in construction for 10 years and then got into planning and was the planning director. And I interviewed him, but I was really more interested in him as a code enforcement officer because he didn't have a college degree. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't hire him as the planning director, but he would make a very good code enforcement officer. Okay, well, and I asked him about it, and he said he was interested in that too. He moved up here with his wife, and he's not working right now. His wife got a real good job as an electrical engineer or something. So he would probably be pretty good. And there's a couple of other people too, retired state employee that was with DOT for 28 years or something. But there's some folks around that would fill that position real well, I think.
Well, I hope you can give me those names.
Well, if I can figure out who they are exactly, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we'll have a problem with that.
And do you know if, I'm supposing that a good bit of Knightdale's development plans have got to be coordinated with Wake County as far as thoroughfare plans and otherwise. Do you know that the planning directors in the past year have had a good relationship with the planning staff there, or what exactly is the...
My impression is the county is really not terribly involved in that type of planning. They have a community development department, but I think they're more involved in ETJ and putting in some water and sewer lines, and they're strictly pure planning. I don't think they do a whole lot of that at this point anyway.
I would certainly think that
I think there should be a relationship there, yeah, particularly when you talk about something like thoroughfare planning.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. Does Knightdale have an ETJ area? Or?
Yeah, it goes to Leech River.
Okay, and you have zoning requirements which go into that ETJ.
Yeah.
Okay, in Harnett County things were a little odd as far as ETJ. The county controlled ETJ in some areas and didn't control it in other areas, according to which town you were dealing with. Yeah. And I was a little concerned about the legality of that, but I didn't broach that subject. I just wanted to find out what the situation was.
Well, the county controls how much ETJ each city has.
Exactly.
And,
They have to approve the ETJ.
Right. It varies fairly drastically in Wake County, and but ours is a fairly large area. Like I say, all the way to Moose River, which is 4 miles, I guess.
Okay.
3 miles.
Although this is a, don't know whether I should ask this question or not, especially being on tape, but is the political structure within Knightdale going to afford the opportunity to for some surety of position?
You been reading the paper or something?
No, I haven't been reading the paper. No, I read the paper constantly. Like I said earlier, information is the most important thing, and I like to know as much as possible what's going on in planning and development everywhere. And I didn't know whether the other planner left for that reason or whatever, but it doesn't really matter to me. I just wanted to hear what you would have to say in that regard. Any comments you would give or don't want to give.
Actually, I think there would be quite a bit of stability, particularly for your position.
I'm just wondering, I guess I'm questioning is, are
the council members, from what I've seen, the five council members and the mayor seem to really all agree on the direction that they want the town to go. There's very little disagreement on that. They disagree on other things, but not on direction. And I'm not sure why the other planner left. I don't know if he was. I don't think he was run off. Let me put it that way.
I guess I was just concerned that.
As a matter of fact, they made him interim town manager. So I seriously doubt they run him off. They seem to like him, if anything.
Exactly.
So, if there's any heat on the staff, it'll probably fall on me and not on other folks.
Okay. I guess being in an administrative position where you have to make those decisions, there's a situation where you might have some pressure put on you from those to sign things that aren't necessarily legal or might be a little shady.
Well, we won't do that one way or the other.
Okay. Well, I just want to. I've incurred that in the past.
Well, I'll take the brunt of all that.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. Period.
Okay. Well, not
And I don't think that the mayor or any council member would ever even suggest anything like that. They're very up and above board.
Well, I certainly mean no offense by that or anything. It's just happened to me in the past, and so it's a concern.
Well, it's happened to me in the past too. But, this is not the type of board you'd have a problem with. That type of a problem with.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Now I have the ad here. I just thought I would look to see. What kind of benefits as far as medical or dental, or is it a cafeteria plan or 401k?
Yeah, there's a 1% 401k for regular employees. We're on the state health insurance pool run by the League of Municipalities.
Okay.
And it includes dental and disability and life, and the town picks up that share for the employee. And if you want to insure your wife when you get married, then you pay that portion of it. And kids. And of course, retirement, and that type of stuff is fairly standard.
Exactly.
I think there's 10 holidays and 2 weeks vacation the first year and 3 weeks after 2 years, that type of thing. There's longevity pay of.
Well, that won't be something I would have to worry about anytime soon, probably.
Well, actually, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. They give longevity pay after the first year.
Wow.
They
must have a good
We're going to have to think about what we're doing with that. It wouldn't be what I would have recommended. Somewhere I've got a sheet that talks about that, but it's like 1% or something like that after the first year or something.
I would suppose.
I'm not real crazy about it, to be honest with you. It's a little excessive. Usually you don't start getting severance pay until like after your 5th year.
Exactly.
I would like to see it a little more standard. But they, have crossing boards in July. They've got a merit increase system. So it's pretty much the same as everybody else.
Okay. Let's see. I'm supposing a 6-month probationary period type situation. Okay, and then there's I guess a step increase or something at that 6 months, or is that's not really important at this point, but I just thought I'd ask.
Good question. No one's asked me that question. I don't know the answer.
Oh well.
They don't have a highly developed pay plan, so there may not be.
If it's not important, it's normally standard. That's what happens, but I didn't.
I know.
But you're a little unsure about what's standard. Okay.
Well, I don't see it in here. It talks about pay increases, and that's not one of them they talk about.
Okay. Well, that's something that we could discuss later on or whatever if it comes up or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess my last question would be if I was to walk into the office tomorrow, if you were to say right now, Greg's job drawers, I want you to come in tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Nothing, all things being equal. What would be the first thing that would be on my desk to do, or the first thing that you'd want me to take care of?
Well, it'd probably be like me. The mail hadn't been opened in 2 or 3 months, and it's piled up in the desk in there, about head high.
Okay, after the mail.
You probably need to look at the day-to-day operation first and make sure that that's going right. The current planning activities, the subdivision regulations, and the administration of the zoning ordinance and site plan reviews, and make sure that that kind of thing is taken care of, that there's no cracks for things to fall into. That, I think, is the most important thing. Also, in the next month or so, we need to work on goals and objectives for the town-wide goals and objectives. And that would be something that we need to work real closely with the council and get a lot of input from them, also with other departments. And that would be, a lot of that would involve the planning department, community development, whatever. And then past that, then you're talking about things like comprehensive plan, land use plan. We need to get the land use plan adopted even before you start on the comprehensive plan, I think. The zoning ordinance refers back to the land use plan, yet there is no land use plan that's been adopted, and I think legally that's sort of a problem.
Most, in my opinion, from my experience, it's been that most towns, your smaller towns, adopted a ordinance that was drawn up by someone with state government that basically referred to a land use plan, and in some cases these towns didn't even have land use plans.
Yeah.
It was kind of just a model ordinance. Here, stick in the name of your town and adopt this.
Yeah.
And that was the case in Lillington, where I was at. The town of Lillington had just basically filled in the word Lillington everywhere, and they didn't have a land use plan either.
Yeah.
So,
I think the other thing would be some work on the downtown area, not work, but planning for what's going to happen in the downtown area. And talk with the state about community development block grant applications, and give some thought to what we need to do. I think that's pretty much would be my order anyway.
One question I didn't ask earlier, and this, I think this is it. If I understand correctly, you have a town council and then a planning board
and a board of adjustment.
You do have a board of adjustment. Okay, I was not aware you had a board of adjustment.
Yeah, they meet once a month. Everybody meets once a month.
Okay.
First.
So basically, I will be dealing with all 3 boards.
Yeah.
Okay. Some only have a planning board and board of adjustment. Planning board and town council, and everything goes to those 2 boards.
Well, there's 3 here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
the system is pretty well developed. They've actually been doing a pretty good job in planning, and
it's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for me?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming, and let me say that I think the last interview is Monday or something like that of next week, and I'll show the tape to whoever I select. I'll show the tape to the council if they agree, and the decision will be made, and I'll contact everybody by the end of next week anyway.
Okay, it's a pretty quick process.
Yeah, I need to get this. Yeah, let's see. Let me change gears here. I've got all my Parks and Rec stuff out. All right. You're coming from where?
I live down Big Bird of Port Orange, Florida, which is next door to Daytona Beach.
I was down there last year for spring training. My son and I went down and watched half a dozen games or so in that area.
Yeah, well, there used to be. They really moved everything over towards the West Coast because there used to be a team in Orlando even. They had Twins playing Orlando. They hold cities for hostage. You build us a park. You want us bad enough, you build us facilities, and they won't think about it. So they play everybody off one against the other.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Well, I've got a list of questions here. First one's easy. Just tell me about yourself. Sort of summarize. Just summarize your background, your history, life history, I guess.
How far back do you want to go?
As far as you want.
Well, professional-wise, kind of career-wise, I've done some of the shifting. I originally started with a bachelor's degree from Clemson University. In forest management of all things, and worked as an urban forester for a while. And through that connection, moved on into planning. I have a master's, of course, in urban regional planning at the University of Florida. My current employer, is the county down there, and it's afforded me a real broad-based experience. Typically started out just doing zoning work, which was full-time, evaluating requests for rezonings, special exceptions, presenting, coming up, evaluating the request, writing a report, bottom line being a recommendation, and then presenting that on to Planning Commission and County Council being the staff person there. That was really intense for the first 2.5 approximately years I worked there. Jumped the fence a little bit over into the long range side of things. We as all the rest of the counties, all local governments in the state of Florida required to do is prepare a new comp plan. So we worked on that long range plan. So the long range aspect of it worked in preparation of a couple of elements, responsible for preparation of a couple of elements for that plan. Also get assigned other sundry tasks. There's a creature down there called a Growth Management Commission, which is adopted by charter, county charter, which is made up of representatives of the county, all the cities. Essentially they have the power to, or in charge with reviewing local plans for consistency between one another, resolving any conflicts along those lines. So coordinate the review of those, that process, typically represent staff in front of that commission. That's a very quick thumbnail sketch.
Tell me about long-range planning and specifically what you've been doing.
So we like every local government, have to do a plan, under state mandate to do a plan.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about Florida is that you're required in North Carolina, you're not required to have one, but most people do.
Yeah, well, Florida's got top-down planning. In other words, the state sets out the parameters that you're to follow in preparation of your plan, and then your plan, once it's completed through the local environment, gets forwarded on to the state. They are ones that give your plan a blessing, or they are the ones that say, smack you on the wrist of it and say, no, you must change this, change that. The elements I got involved with, well, each planner's had various elements. The ones I ended up with were utility elements, which tend to be, somewhat, on the surface, somewhat boring. But due to the political nature of things, it's very exciting exciting elements down there.
Well, utilities sort of drive development too, and if they say development follows sewer, for instance, it's at least an important one. I don't know how boring it is, but
well, down there there's a lot of players involved there. The counties in the infant stages of building a utility system, they went out and basically acquired a bunch of private systems, which they're now trying to develop into a regional basis system. And then you've got all the cities who have their systems, and to put it bluntly, sometimes you get down to turf wars, and for example, we're trying to negotiate service area agreements with a lot of the cities now, which would set aside certain unincorporated areas, which would be their primary responsibility for service. And it's very, very political. Not only from in-house from the county's point of view, but anytime you start trying to coordinate with other jurisdictions, you've each got your own aims and goals, and hopefully you can arrive at some kind of compromise.
How about current planning activities, site plan reviews and that type of thing? Have you ever been involved with that?
Not site plan review, not directly. My current plan was basically, evaluation of rezoning requests, special exceptions. Some places call it conditional uses.
Yeah, we call it conditional.
Which y'all term it as. We've got a full-time staff person who does nothing but review site plans. So I don't directly get involved in that. Sometimes it's connection with a rezoning or special exception. I'll get involved, and due to the fact that I've tended to be one of the authors on several occasions of some lengthy amendments to the zoning ordinance. Due to my familiarity with the ordinance, I would get ask questions, but actual direct review, site plan review, the actual nuts and bolts of day and day, spreading out a plan, marking it up, that type of thing.
Okay. Have you ever given presentations to the city council or county commission or whatever it's called?
Well, that's county council down there. Some places, it's Florida, since that county is a charter county, it's county council, but most of the places in Florida it's called county commission. I don't know. But I was doing on zoning matters. They're brought us up routinely in front of them at least once a month. There's one day set aside a month for zoning. Routine in front of them, and due to this, the long-range planning and the other activities, a lot of stuff related to growth management commission stuff, I've spent a lot of time in front of council, and it's a good process. The first few times you get in front of them, I remember the first time, a few times I was in front of them, and you sit there and your knees are just shaking under that table, because it seems like no matter how much you prepare for it, there's always going to be something asked that you just like, where did that one come from? But it helps you maturity-wise, and it really helps there's positive things that come out of that.
The city council is, I've only been here for a week, so I'm new here. But the city council has essentially told me that they would like the town to continue to grow fast, and it is a fast-growing town. It's real small, but it's growing fast. but they also want to control that growth and make sure things develop in the right way. Those two things are incompatible to a certain extent, not mutually exclusive, but somewhat incompatible. How do you balance high growth and good control of over development?
We're struggling with the same question because the county that I'm in, we're due to our proximity to Daytona Beach, the Orlando metro area, we're seeing growth, and you constantly struggle with, trying to strike that balance. I think it just comes from you have to have, first of all, if you don't have the public support there, or the leadership support, it makes it exceedingly difficult. But it gets back to if you've got good land development regulations, you've got a plan that is based on some public input, you've got a plan that's been held up and had plenty of opportunity for citizen input, and if you've got a plan that has got some basis to population projections, the inherent constraints of the land, environmental features, the availability of supporting infrastructure, i.e. roads, utilities, trying to wad all that up and evaluate it, that is basically how it provides you a good foundation to begin to build scenarios on as far as where would you like growth, and what that really gets down to, for example, what level of service do you want to maintain, and that's that's a political decision.
Have you been in town long? Have you get to look around?
No, I'm not. I saw came in on 64 there. And
that was good, huh? Well, there's not a whole lot more than that, to be honest with you. The downtown here burned in the late 30s and early 40s or something like that, and it really never got built back. And most of the development is going to be on 64. The population here has doubled in the last 3 years, and it's still a small town, but it's growing at 127% rate in the last 10 years, and of that, almost all of it was in the last 3 or 4 years. That rate of growth should continue, and we should double again in another 3 years or so. We're close to Raleigh and getting closer every day, of course, but the whole area, the whole county, the whole region really is a real fast-growing area, and we seem to be in a good position to grow fast. You haven't looked around, so it's hard to ask you this question, but most of what there is and what there will be on 64. What do you think that's going to end up looking like in 10 years?
Wow.
Most of the people I ask that question to are somewhat familiar with the area, so
yeah. Well, if you just look at the pattern now, there appears to be a pattern of commercial development, some kind of commercial corridor going along there now. I'm not so, I'm not one that's convinced that just because you're on an arterial or major highway that it should necessarily be, or there must be commercial. There's opportunity where you've got large tracts of land that are not previously subdivided, and you have the opportunity to go in there and do some quality residential development along those lines also. So it's kind of hard to to answer, but just looking at what I just saw coming in, it looks like it's leaning more towards evolving into some commercial area.
It is. There's 3 big subdivisions out there right now, residential subdivisions, but it's mostly probably going to develop retail.
Yeah. Then it gets back to your previous question about growth management, if you will, or it gets back to quality of growth. Then you get into things, for example, tree ordinances, aesthetics, sign ordinances, landscaping requirements, buffer requirements. Now those are all the ways to make, instead of just having acres of asphalt with some twigs or something like that stuck in the road, you have some opportunity there to do something which is just pleasing also.
How about grants? Have you ever been involved with writing grant applications? Computer experience.
I got quite a bit at grad school. It's kind of like, it's dwindled since then.
How about like GIS?
GIS. Well, we as the county are just embarking on that. They're laying out substantial investment in manpower and financial resources to come up with a GIS system. It's a great tool. In theory, if you've got a parcel or an area of land, be able to call up that once you get it mapped and be able to lay all these overlays on it to get, for example, the development opportunities, constraints, that type of thing. It's a lot of work from what I've seen, from my experience looking at that. Just digitizing it, doing the background stuff to get it geared up and running.
Well, Wake County has jumped in it with both feet. They've got a staff of like 15 that just GIS staff. That's all they do. And of course, most of that is data entry and mapping folks. They've done the aerial photography. They have all the major roads in the system. They've got a lot of the major water and sewer lines in. That type of thing.
Yeah.
We're still probably 3 years away from being 90% complete, let's say. But in 3 or 4 years, I think what you'll see over here is all the municipalities in the county will have a terminal and a printer that will allow you to access that information and probably plot off maps and overlays and stuff. It's not terribly important to us right now because we're too small to do it ourselves, and you don't want to duplicate what somebody else is doing anyway. But there will become a point in time when that will be the most important thing, probably the most important tool that you have available to you. Pretty slick.
It's a great tool if you have it. Like I said, the hard part's getting it up and running. But
they've been working on it already for maybe 2 or 3 years, and most of it's data entry. I mean, digitizing all that is just so time-consuming.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And
but once you get it going, you can gameplay with it, you can do scenarios with it.
Oh, I've seen demonstrations where a developer comes in and says, well, not a developer, but a company comes in and says, we want to locate a plant, and we have to have 15 acres, and it has to be zoned for manufacturing, heavy manufacturing, and water and sewer and natural gas, and within 2 miles of a major thoroughfare, and we want rail service. And you can call that, you can put those specifications in, and it'll print you maps of the locations of all those parcels.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing stuff.
Oh yeah, you get those guys, and it's like they dazzle you. They really do. But But you're talking about the city's growth. Is most of the growth now occurring through? Do you find it's growth inside the existing corporate limits, or is the city aggressively pursuing annexations, or?
Most what's happening is a developer will come in and buy 300 acres, and they will apply to us for a subdivision approval, and we require them to annex. And we'll annex essentially the vacant land, and they'll put in the infrastructure and all that type of thing and start building houses, and we grow along with the houses being built and sold.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a bit to be annexed too, which needs to be annexed, including some manufacturing, but up until this point they've not been real aggressive, but we're going to be. That's my understanding of the situation anyway.
I was curious.
You could probably double the population right now just by doing the annexations.
Yeah. I was curious whether it's infill or whether it's annexations or if it's probably just a combination of both.
It's a little of both, yeah. Technically, it's infills because we're annexing vacant land and then it's filling up, but in reality, it's vacant land, undeveloped land, unsubdivided. What would you like to know? Well, let me ask you one more question.
Sure, far away.
Why do you want to come here? Why do you want to move out of Florida? I just tried to move to Florida.
Yeah? I don't know. Well, I've got family that's, my family's mostly from western North Carolina. East Tennessee's from, my family's originally from.
Where at in East Tennessee?
My mom's side of the family's from Knoxville area. So, this is, somewhat like home, if you will. It's an area that I'm very comfortable with. So from a personal aspect, there's those things playing. From a career standpoint, the next logical progression for me in career development may be to move into positions such as this. So there's that interest also.
But compared to where you are, this is very, very small. I mean, you're going from a pretty large population down to almost. This is a shirt sleeves type operation here.
Yeah.
Well, you end up doing almost everything. I mean, the Parks and Recreation Director is going to have to go out and probably mow the ball fields occasionally, and the Parks and Recreation or the Planning Director is there's other people that work for that person, but you do subdivision regulations and site plan reviews, and probably going to have to do a comprehensive plan and thoroughfare plan and stuff, and make your own presentations to the boards and commissions and stuff, and to the Board of Adjustment and Planning Board and all that.
Yeah.
It's do-it-yourself type operation here.
Well, I don't want to get painted as a city slicker, but that doesn't really doesn't really concern me. I think there's opportunities to be explored when you're in a position such as this one. I'm not. There's drawbacks to being a medium-sized, if you will, bureaucracy, which can be somewhat confining. Whereas
that's true.
Whereas when you're in an environment such as this, you just get a wealth of diverse experience.
Yeah.
You say the planning director would have others under him or under that position. That would include.
There's a zoning clerk who takes applications for rezonings or subdivisions or whatever, and then we have a position that's vacant right now as a zoning court, code enforcement officer. That's probably what you would think
Yeah.
of. Yeah. Construction inspections, zoning inspections, sign inspections, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's three positions.
That's probably typical. What I've seen of some smaller jurisdictions. The planning director typically, in my experience, it's got some connection with the building code compliance. Certainly.
Well, the building inspections is done by the county. We allow them to do that essentially. There'll probably become a point in time when we want to do our own, but not yet.
Yeah. But so there's there are benefits. There's opportunities to be had. Operating at local government at this level.
Let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
What's your salary expectations? What's your salary range?
Well, that's the question I was going to ask you. I don't know what range that y'all were in.
Did they put a thing in the paper?
Cannot recall.
I never did see the advertisement, to be honest with you. It's in the mid to upper 20s, actually. Yeah.
Well, so here, yeah, that's.
I know in Florida,
Well,
the job I interviewed for in Florida was a lot of money.
well, no, that's, my current salary is I'm in the upper 20s right now, current salary. I'm not necessarily married to that salary. There's other things that weigh any decision I may make. At the same time, I don't want to get beat about the head, but the other decisions, but that would probably be somewhere, in the range. There are things to contend with. Most states that you don't have it, that you don't have Florida, like state income tax, that you don't have down there. There's North Carolina probably exempts you to a certain extent for personal property tax.
Yeah. I think it's just on cars and boats.
Yeah.
Not on like household furnishings and that type of thing.
But then there's, of course that could be mitigated by the cost of living. I don't really know what cost of living is like. Maybe in this area, that's something I'd want to look at compared to where I'm at now. But salary-wise, I don't think that's, that sounds like something that doesn't strike me as glaringly, a problem. What about now, the city, as far as existing long-range plan, or
bad assumptions.
Wrong.
Well, this is what we have: subdivision ordinance, zoning ordinance, standard specs for construction.
Yeah.
There is no comprehensive plan, no land use plan that's been adopted. We have a land use plan, but they never adopted it. And there's no thoroughfare plan, and that's the three long-range planning. We need all three. Of course, actually, two of them is part of usually the thoroughfare plan, and the land use plan is part of the comprehensive plan. But we need that real bad. They're more geared to current planning than they are long-range planning at this point.
Yeah, that's probably typical for.
Yeah.
I just, how, the basis for zoning decisions. Then I'm curious.
Well, they have all the land zoned, and they have a zoning map.
Okay.
But it really evidently has never been adopted. They work on the assumption that it was, I guess. Yeah. I'm not sure how legal we are at this point.
Obviously, well, to relate to an experience that we've had down there, the plan we just got for doing was due to some mandates imposed upon us by the state. It's pretty doggone detailed. We went from a plan that was about yay thick. Of course, you can't judge with quality by thickness, but we had a plan and it was a policy plan. It had policies in it that were apple pies. The broad brush.
We'll do this and we'll do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And the future land use map was just a block, circles, and it was very broadly constructed, general urban. Then we knew what zoning classifications were urban, but then you had to go back and lean on the policies. For example, is one commercial classification more appropriate at that location than others? And then it became very subjective, which resulted in some interesting and some good arguments at times, especially in public hearings. Yeah. But we've gone back now, and the plan is, our list of land use classifications has become a lot more detailed, and as a result, zoning is getting tied a lot more closely to the plan than it ever has been before. And so I've always use zoning as the method to implement the plan. And I was curious how the city would be, how they're currently operating. And then really putting the plan together, of course, was a controversial chore at times. We're now going through the process of having to go back and administratively rezone those parcels of land, which are not consistent with the plan now. And we're probably going to have it's going to be Desert Storm and Blue Chip. But so they're basically just now have a zoning map, and I guess they're you're looking at things like compatibility with adjacent uses. That's on that level right now, as far as any type of rezoning decision or special exception, conditional use. Well, the conditional use is a little easier because it's the burden, at least down in the burden's typically on the local government to prove otherwise. So one was, as far as getting together a long range or comprehensive development plan, what kind of framework is given at even those? But that's
it's I think the problem is going to be that everyone who comes in is going to probably have to spend a couple of months just familiarizing themselves and opening the mail and seeing what's what. And we're probably going to have to spend a great deal of time and effort on current planning activities, and then do the long-range planning sort of as a sideline. So you may be talking about a year or so, maybe more, to really develop something. There's the world won't end tomorrow if we don't have a comprehensive plan. It's not state mandated, so there's no requirement. It's just that we need it. It needs to be done, but we got to make sure the day-to-day work gets done first. That's the priority, of course.
Put out the brush fires first. But, the immediate things get concerned. But I was just curious as the impetus for that, and since it's not required by state government, the impetus or the direction coming from that, is that coming from the council or is
no, mostly from me. I think we need it, and I think the council thinks that it's necessary too, of course. But there's too much advantage in having it to not do it. So we're going to do it.
Well, for a jurisdiction of this size, there probably won't be any. I don't foresee, just in my fundamental, what I've seen so far, I would doubt there'd be anything that's going to be totally earth-shattering.
I don't think so either.
If it's totally earth-shattering, you might be shooting yourself in the foot. Okay. Well, I was just curious as far as that aspect of it.
What else would you like to
know? As far as, I'm curious, this is the tape line, I don't know, this is the question to ask or not. Noticing that, apparently the turnover, they went through an upheaval. If you just look at what I gather, just looking at the ads, the announcements, we saw three, which are typically the more high-profile positions vacant at once. Was that through?
City manager got fired. The Parks and Recreation director quit to take a job that paid more money in Charlotte or someplace, and the planning director quit to go back to graduate school, and that was pretty much it right there. The city manager was the only one that really suffered in the process, I guess.
Well, I don't know whether it's, the first reaction is there was
a
political firestorm that raged through.
No, wasn't that bad.
Okay.
They liked the planning director, I believe. They made him the interim town manager while they were looking for a town manager, but I guess school was starting and he wanted to leave, so he.
Yeah. Well, the town strikes me as being, you know, again, just from what bit I've seen, the town strikes me as being pretty much a continuum, a degree of continuity. There seems to be a stability, or at least a which leads to predictability, I guess, as far as.
Yeah, now the mayor's been on the mayor's been the mayor for many years, and we got some folks that's been involved with town government for a long time. There's not a lot of throw the rascals out type things.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that. So, you know, walk in wondering, you know, what in the world is going on, and try and figure out that too. But, you know, because you know, I'm not the type of person I tend to live, you know, from what I've learned so far, I've done my dealings with, you know, land use, particularly rezonings, that type of thing. It's, you know, you get into some really, and it's a political process. I forget what you guys, it's a political process. And the best, I think one of the best ways you can survive is, you know, you search for, you search for compromise. You know, that's, you know, if you get to know me well enough, you know that, you know, radicals or dogmatic points of view on either end of the spectrum, they bother me. They really bother me. And, you know,
Yep. I tend to be that way.
Yeah, I tend to be a somewhat of a.
I'm not a Jesse Helms fan, that's for sure.
I don't know. That would be a Harvey Gantt fan either, but Jesse, I don't know. But yeah, like I say, the options, you know, if you're at the ends of the pole, I really have a hard time at times dealing with that, you know, that personality, because I don't necessarily claim to be right all the time, and if we can sit down and discuss things in a rational manner, and you know, and both people are willing to, you know, attempt to work to something, you know, now there comes a time where you just have to say no, you know, or you just have to, you know, you have to be firm, but just to be, you know, as long as you've done it, attempted to do it in a rational manner. But, I was just curious. The town strikes me as being very, fairly stable environment.
I believe it.
But what were y'all, you know, thinking about getting some?
Trying to do it as fast as I can. Like I say, I've been working for a week, and in that week, you're the last person I'm going to interview, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
We had more than 100 applications.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Seemed like everybody wanted this job for some reason.
Well, that speaks that you know, you can look at it two ways. Either like, God, Mark, it's just like terrible, or you know, or it speaks very highly of the town.
One or the other, or some combination of both. But the people that I'm interviewing have master's degrees and have generally 3 or more years of planning experience in city, county. I've got one guy that's, you know, council of governments, but real qualified people.
Yeah.
But I will know who I want by Thursday of next week. The city council meets Wednesday night, and they'll review the tape then. And I'm also trying to hire a secretary, so if I'll have the secretary call everybody Thursday or Friday of next week and tell them, well, if I can I'll make my decision. Now I may have to end up talking to, negotiating essentially, but probably Thursday or Friday we'll let everybody know that I interviewed anyway. I still need to check references and that type of thing.
What about, you say, thoroughfare plan?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would view that as being intertwined with, the comprehensive plan or the long range plan. because
I do too.
they're like hinging
It's
on
just
each
that
other.
it needs to be elements, that needs to be included in the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, but as far as major roads, I guess local collector, local streets, and maybe some interior collectors inside the city.
Well,
But I guess but the major arterial is probably 64 up there.
Yeah, but you've got, the state's talking about a 64 bypass, which would be a little bit south of here, still within the area. What's called the Raleigh Outer Loop, which will come right down the middle of Knightdale,
Yeah.
create a major county intersection essentially.
Sure.
Smithfield Road, which is this road right out
Yeah.
here, needs to be 4 lanes both ways for quite a while, and we need to know what we're going to do with that. And there's some questions. It's not a major undertaking, I don't think.
Yeah.
You're right. There's, it's mostly 2-lane roads.
Yeah. Any idea when they're thinking about coming in with all these like major road improvements? They got them programmed or anything, or they just are they conceptual at this point?
I think they're still conceptual. They're setting aside. They're zoning the path of the outer loop